Virtual reality guns. What makes them special? Well, in a flat-screen first-person shooter, let's say Call of Duty for example, when you run out of ammo, you simply press a single button to watch an animation that reloads your gun for you. It's practical, but simple and not really true to the experience. But in virtual reality, when your magazine is empty, you can physically grab it out of your gun, toss it across the room, throw a fresh one in from your belt, and with a speed unhindered by the physics of reality, you can rack the bolt and be ready to fire again. Seriously, nothing tops how satisfying reloading virtual guns can be. I used to have an airsoft pistol that I would constantly just pick up and reload for fun. It was addicting trying to reload with perfect efficiency every time, and VR lets me do basically that, but with an insane variety of weapons, all to a varying degree of realism. Of course, you will see that not all virtual guns are created equal. Some are better than others, and often it can be hard to tell which ones are the best without truly feeling them for yourself in VR. But across the board, one of the biggest things missing from virtual guns is realistic weight distribution. Your palm-sized controllers simply can't replicate the weight and balance of one of these. At least, not on their own. Not sponsored, but AMVR did send me these to review, and before you click away, hear me out. Full transparency, this thing is kind of just a toy, meaning it does absolutely nothing in a technical sense, but I actually surprisingly love it. I use it anytime I'm hopping into a VR shooter, and I'm gonna show you why. Hi, I'm Virtual Bro, and I'm always looking for the best VR games that are actually worth your time. Within a month of starting this channel, I'm at 10,000 subscribers, and all I can say is thank you. You guys can clearly tell how passionate I am about VR, so let's keep talking about it. In this video, I'm going to test this product in a few of my favorite VR shooters to show you how I make the most out of it. So hopefully by the end of the video, you'll know whether you want one for yourself and what games to play should you get one.
Oh, that was so cool.
This first game I've been dying to talk about is called Into the Radius. Now, let me set the stage for this game. If you own a VR headset, tell me if this sounds familiar. You first got your headset and you were so excited about all the VR experiences you were having, and then one day you just ran out of reasons to keep playing. Maybe your favorite game got boring or shut down, RIP Echo, so you put your headset away to collect dust for who knows how long, until eventually something reminds you about it and you rediscover how cool VR is. For about a week, and then get bored again and repeat the cycle over and over. But you see, at least personally, there's always that one game that gets me back into VR, and this time that was Into the Radius. I would argue that this is the most immersive single-player VR game currently available on standalone headsets. That was a lot, but Saints and Sinners is the only game I know of that could even rival this, so I'm terrified of not doing this game justice, so I won't be doing a deep dive into this game yet. But here are some of the many things I love about Into the Radius. This little room is your safe house, and I mean your safe house. You can arrange and organize your items however you want, and they'll stay that way until you move them. I like to keep my food here on this shelf and my guns and ammo there, and look over there, that's a mess. It's hard to explain, but during my playthrough, I felt like this was actually my stuff. I have memories with this specific item. I went out into the Radius, looted it from a house, and it's been right here ever since. This particular gun has gone with me on countless missions. No other game makes me feel this possessive over my virtual items. And that's not even mentioning the fact that item durability is a thing, and keeping your guns and tools properly maintained is a necessity. Again, these just feel like real objects I'm dealing with, and I love that. It's really immersive, and I think part of that has to do with the sheer quantity of items that you will eventually hold and interact with in this game. There's enough diversity to make looting always feel exciting even 15 hours into the game, and it's not pointless items either. Everything you loot has a purpose or value to you in some way or other. So while it's tempting to take everything you find at first, your backpack's weight will actually start to slow you down to the point where you can't run, which is a lot scarier than you might think. So, what do you do in this game? Well, at the beginning of each day, I eat my breakfast to refill that yellow stamina bar on my watch, and head out to work, which is, yep, in the Radius. Each day, you're tasked with venturing out to collect artifacts like these. If you manage to bring them back, you're compensated for your labor with money which you can use to upgrade or purchase equipment to make your next day a little bit easier. Well, all that is assuming you survive your initial journey into the Radius. You see, you're not alone out there. There are hostiles almost impossible to describe, and occasionally you'll be tasked with photographing them for research. Research aimed at saving humanity from this apocalypse. But the thing is, you're not really the hero of this story, because there isn't really one. This is simply your job. You're just one of the few people still left, and you're risking your life every day just to make ends meet. Throughout the radius, you'll encounter bodies. Are these your co-workers? Clearly, these are people who were out here presumably doing the same task as you, but their story ended here. Yours will go on, but who knows for how much longer? Who knows when you will just be another one of these corpses lost to the radius? The impressive lighting, chilling ambient sounds, and fantastically bleak landscape all add up to create an unprecedented level of immersion. Playing with headphones is almost a necessity, and in doing so, you literally feel like you are standing right there in that world, which can be terrifying at times. Because to survive those hostiles I mentioned earlier, you'll need weapons. And it's here that we can see immersion at the forefront of the experience. Each bullet must be manually loaded into each magazine, which then must be packed into your pouches and backpack along with your other supplies, which could include a gas mask, radiation detector, food, knife, camera, medical supplies, and more. To some people, this sounds tedious and overcomplicated, but personally, this was my favorite part of the game, even more than the actual shooting. However, the gunplay in this game does feel very solid. There's a variety of weapons you can use, and some tools like the flashlight and knife give you plenty of reason to hold your weapon with one hand. And I love being able to actually feel where the barrel of my weapon is pointed because of these controller grips. And there's a bunch of attachments in the game for you to save up for and experiment with, but you'll want to spend your money wisely. Missions eventually get very difficult, but I won't spoil some of the later game stuff just yet. There are many noteworthy aspects of this game that I still haven't mentioned, so definitely let me know in the comments if you want to see more of this game. Before we move on, I do have 3 little nitpicks about the game. Number 1, the guns feel kind of weightless and therefore a little janky at times, sometimes clipping into objects and walls. Number 2, certain details are missing, like the trigger discipline, especially when cleaning and handling guns in the safe house. And number 3, having no full body character always limits your immersion. What if I told you there was a game that solved all 3 of those issues? That would be awesome! And what if I told you it was half the price of Into the Radius? Well, that would be even more awesome! Wait a second, it's not one of those early access sandbox games, is it? Okay, wait a second, don't be turned away by the default Microsoft Word font. What is that, Arial? Sans? Trust me, I wasn't expecting very much from this game either, but hear me out. Let's be honest, the best VR games are usually the ones that focus on doing one thing really well. Want a music rhythm game? Beat Saber nails it. Want a melee action game? Blade and Sorcery has you covered. So it's no surprise that Gun World VR has, at least on standalone headsets, because PCVR is a whole different beast and I'm just a poor Quest gamer. So up until now, my go-to VR gun game was Bone Lab. And although those weapons are very impressive, they still feel very arcadey and light in comparison to the realistic weight and interactions of the weapons in Gun World. Just look at how I can adjust this MP7. The attention to detail is just so cool. Plus, each weapon has actual weight to it, which, along with the collision physics, makes for very tangible item interactions. But it's definitely a few major updates away from being perfect. The hands can be very imprecise when it comes to handling the smaller attachments, and even picking up small magazines is a struggle sometimes. But I do love how you can grab an object from any angle and the fingers will fold around it pretty realistically. This is so much better than having your hands snap around to preset positions. I cannot wait for a full multiplayer game like the next game on this list to have this level of detail and interaction. But luckily, Gun World does have the option to create multiplayer lobbies, so me and my friend tried practicing some CQB tactics, and keyword, tried. Still, it was pretty fun. There's also a bunch of other mini games to try, some are better than others, but check out these experimental vehicles. I'm not sure what they plan to do with them, but the jet is actually really fun. I literally felt like Tom Cruise flying this thing around until... Now here's what I love about this game's settings. You can adjust the pitch offset of your hands, meaning you can perfectly align your virtual gun with your real controller gun. I was peeking in and out of my headset and it felt so cool to see it in both the virtual world and the real world. Plus, this game's dedication to realism extends to the trigger discipline this time, which I totally commend. And what's awesome is the trigger guard on the controller makes it even easier to practice gun safety in the virtual world. If you decide to check out this game, it's not really a full game, however, as a gun sandbox, it definitely delivers. There are almost too many guns in this game. You've got classics from the M1 Garand to modern obscurities like the corner shot, which is basically just a Glock that can bend around a corner. And yes, this is a real gun, I looked it up. So if all you want to do is shoot a huge variety of realistic virtual guns, then Gun World is probably your best option on standalone VR. But if you want something more from your VR game, like a full single-player campaign with co-op plus PvP and map modding,
I almost got the other one.
yeah, check out Zero Caliber VR. It's honestly my recent favorite game I've played, and I have a shorter video on both YouTube and TikTok right now that explains what I love about this game.
Whoa! Jeez. That scared the crap out of me. He basically shoved his body into the muzzle of my gun and I just pulled the trigger.
I'll link that video below so you can watch that because this video is already getting long enough. But of course I have to mention another aspect of this controller grip which I love. In PvP games, the added weight of the controller might give you a slight disadvantage when it comes to fast reactive movements. However, the trade-off for that added weight is stability, especially if you have shaky hands. So VR sniping actually is a lot easier with these. You can also tailor your loadout in Zero Caliber to suit the controller better. Here's what I came up with. It's literally an akimbo COD loadout, but anyways, my biggest complaint is just that these scopes are not very realistic or even very useful, and when playing gun game I almost always just take them off if I get a gun with one on it.
Oh, side movement.
So in conclusion, I feel like the purpose of this accessory is really added immersion. It won't improve your aim the way a full VR gun stock would, but it also won't cost you over $100. So if you play a lot of VR shooters and want just a little bit more of added immersion, definitely check this out at the link in the comments. Hopefully you found this video useful or entertaining.
Wait, did our guns just collide while we were holding them? Yeah. That's so cool. Oh, this feels oddly, sexual.
Like and subscribe for more VR recommendations. I'm Virtual Bro, and if you want to support my content, you can buy me a coffee at the link below as well, so I can keep editing all night and never sleep. Okay, thanks, bye!